It's a huge developer experience improvement over the tooling that we've had for the last 20 years. Pydantic has a base model, which is just a nice data structure to work with. Now, the level of polish we're able to deliver with these tools is just, we've never been in that world before to have that time.
Hi, I'm Vincent here at PyCon US with Jeff Triplett.
I'm Jeff Triplett. I'm a partner at Revolution Systems in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm the president of the Django Software Foundation. I'm a Django Fellow. I do a newsletter with Will and a bunch of community projects.
Yeah, super happy you could be here. First question is, so in the Python survey this year, FastAPI is ahead of Django among professional usage, but hobbyist Django is actually slightly ahead. How does that match with what you're seeing in terms of usage of Python web frameworks?
I mean, I think web is popular and there's a lot of growth in both platforms. I think a lot of people are probably starting to do more AI projects using FastAPI.
Yeah.
I think this kind of replaces what we used to see with microservices. I think if you don't need a database, a lot of applications that you use FastAPI for. I think it's an easy pattern for AI to be able to work with and duplicate.
Yep.
And so yeah, I mean, AI is really popular. It's really big in the Python industry.
Yeah.
So I think FastAPI is probably what a lot of people are learning to start with.
Python tooling has changed a lot recently, most notably with UV. What are your thoughts on that? Are you using UV yourself in projects?
I've used UV for a couple of years, almost exclusively. I think there were a lot of kind of holes in the Python ecosystem for how to build, how to install, how to lock dependencies. I think UV kind of solved the need where you could use one tool to do everything versus trying to figure out what's the best way to build something, what's the best way to package something. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a huge developer experience improvement over the tooling that we've had for the last 20 years. So yep. I'm a fan.
Yeah. Hosting. So the Python survey also showed the big providers, AWS, Google, Azure are the top 3 spots. You're a consultant day to day with the clients that you work with. Does that mirror what you're seeing, or why do you think that dominates the survey results?
Yeah, I think your options, I think DigitalOcean is pretty popular in some of our circles too for smaller companies. It's a little easier to get into. I think there's a lot of other cloud providers starting to come up too, but yeah, there's a certain size client that you kind of expect them to be on AWS or Google. I've not ran into as many Azure clients, but yeah, I mean, AWS is probably still what large companies like to use.
Yep. I know you're a fan of Pydantic. Could you speak to what specifically you like? Because now they have type checks, AI, serializers. Like,
yeah.
How does it work for you? Because you're constantly telling me about Pydantic.
Sure. Well, coming from Django, I'm used to Django models. And Pydantic has a base model, which is just a nice data structure to work with. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of importing data, and it kind of handles things like, I don't have to worry about the format that a data's in. It can understand different date formats and strings, and it's just really nice for, the developer experience is really nice. And it's good at kind of cleaning data. It's just a nice data structure to work with, I think. Pydantic AI is great. It's like the Django ORM of backend model providers. So if you're gonna work with OpenAI or Anthropic or maybe something even Olama based, it just gives you a nice tool to be able to change a connection string and your code mostly just works. So
yeah. All right, and last question on AI. I know you're at the forefront of using AI, including agentic flows. I guess the question is, right now versus a year ago, how has your usage of AI changed?
I mean, I've been a heavy user for 2 or 3 years, maybe more, probably going back 4 or 5 years. But I think the last year with the CLI tools like Claude Code, we had an inflection point in December where the tools got to be good enough, and now they're getting to be really good. And so it changes everything about how we do development, even at RevSys. The agent's ability to do tasks for us is pretty incredible. So like I can have it check pull requests or issues or take notes from a client meeting and have it turn that into a bunch of issues for our developers to work with.
Right.
It's good at driving new product features sometimes. I feel like I'm reviewing other developers. We have junior devs, we have other developers who use AI tools too, but it was kind of a process I was used to doing pull request reviews with developers. Yeah. And now I feel like I get results and I get to do that same flow in 2 minutes instead of 2 hours or 2 days. Yeah. And also for me, it puts my head in a mode where I'm used to giving client demos where I've worked on something for a couple of weeks, and then when I'm in a meeting with a client, everything clicks with me and I'm seeing like, here's a polished application, but in my head, I'm seeing here's all the things we should have done or we could have done differently.
Yeah.
And then now once I work with these programs, I get to that, I get to the part of the project now where I can look at polish immediately, and I can even record voice notes, and I can see all the polish as if I'm showing that client something 2 weeks in the future. And then it lets me polish things to a whole other level that when you're just trying to get the project done on a client demo, client deadline, sometimes you're doing all you can to fit that work into that week or 2 week period. And then now the level of polish we're able to deliver with these tools is just, we've never been in that world before to have that time.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Well, thank you, Jeff, for taking the time, coming by the PyCharm booth, and appreciate all your work for Django and Python.
Appreciate that. Thank you.